Welcome to the Raising Confident Girls podcast, your guide to raising strong, confident daughters. I'm Melissa Jones, the founder of Girls Positivity Club and a teacher for over 20 years. In a world where girls often feel overwhelmed, anxious, and confused, this podcast is your go-to space. As caregivers, we navigate challenges together. I founded Girls Positivity Club to provide a place where you belong and get the tools to face today's hurdles. Consider this your regular check-in with a trusted friend, offering insights and practical tips for meaningful conversations. I'm here to help you feel confident on this journey of raising a generation of empowered girls. Let's dive in and raise those confident girls together. Hey everybody, it's Melissa and welcome back to Raising Confident Girls. I want to start with a moment that can catch parents off guard. Your daughter says something like, "No one likes me." And sometimes it doesn't come out that directly. It sounds like, "I just don't want to go tomorrow." Or, "It doesn't even matter." Or she shrugs and says, "I'm fine." But you can tell something underneath that didn't feel good. And when you hear it, something in you reacts immediately because part of you knows that's not true. But another part of you pauses and thinks, what if this is how she really feels right now? And now you're in that moment of, do I correct it? Do I reassure her? Do I explain it? Because you don't want her to believe that about herself. That's what we're going to talk about today. And the first thing I want to teach you is that what she says isn't always what she means. When girls say, "No one likes me," they're usually not making a statement of fact. They're expressing a feeling. What it can actually mean is, something didn't go well today. I felt left out. I don't feel secure in my friendships right now. I'm questioning where I fit. A younger girl might be reacting to one friend not playing with her, a small comment, something not going her way. An older girl might be experiencing a shift in her friend group, feeling less included, comparing herself to others. And sometimes this doesn't just come from one moment. It builds over time. I was talking to a high school girl recently who said something very similar. She told me she feels lonely at school. She goes through her day around people, but doesn't really feel connected to anyone. At lunch, she's tried sitting with different groups, but the conversations don't really include her, or they stay very surface level. And after a while, she stopped trying. Now she sits outside, listens to music or a podcast, and eats by herself. And because this has been her experience for a while, she's started to believe no one wants to be my friend. And when you hear that, it sounds like a fact, but it's actually a conclusion she's drawn from how things have felt over time. And for a younger girl, it can look much simpler. Maybe one friend doesn't play with her at recess, or she isn't picked for something. And in that moment, it feels just as big. No one wants to play with me. And this is why moments like this matter so much. Because she's not just describing what's happening. She's trying to make sense of what it means about her. And what parents often do in that moment is jump in quickly. That's not true. Of course people like you. You have so many friends. But here's the thing. She's not asking for facts. She's expressing a feeling. So instead of correcting, we want to understand. You can say, "Something must have felt hard today for you to say that." Pause, then say, "What happened?" And what this does is it opens the door for you to hear how she's feeling about something. And then your words can support her once she's been able to explain to you why she's feeling that way. The second thing that I want to teach you is that the feeling is real, even if the thought isn't. This is a really important distinction. Her thought might not be accurate, but her feeling is real. And that's the moment parents get stuck, myself included, trying to decide whether to correct what's not true, because that does feel like a dagger to the heart to hear our girls say things like that about themselves, or respond to what feels real. And when we try to fix the thought too quickly, because I know I've gone into panic mode before when I hear that, when we do that though, she doesn't feel understood in that moment. So instead, we start with the feeling. You can say, that sounds like it felt really lonely. Pause, then say, I'm really glad you told me. And see what she says. Don't be afraid of silence. Sometimes they just need time of quiet to keep talking. And you might notice when you slow down like that, even though on the inside your heart might be beating really fast, you might be feeling panicky, but when we slow down, she softens just a little. Not because the situation changed, but because she feels understood. And when she feels understood, that's what opens the door for everything else, including your support. The third thing I want to teach you is that this is where identity starts to get shaped. Moments like this don't just pass, they stick. And I know we wish that these kind of moments wouldn't stick. The reason they do is because underneath it, she's asking herself, am I likable? Where do I fit? Do people want me around? And if this thought repeats, it can start to feel like truth. So our role isn't to shut it down quickly. It's to help her understand what actually happened without letting it define her. When she says, no one likes me, you pause, take a breath, and say, it feels like that right now. Then, do you want to tell me what made it feel that way? And if she says, I don't know, you can say, that's okay. We can figure it out together. And after you give her that space and she starts sharing, here's what to do next. Once she starts talking, this is where a lot of parents feel insecure or unsure. Because you might be thinking, okay, this is good. Now, what do I do with this? And this is where we gently shift from just listening to helping her make sense of it. So let's say she tells you, they didn't really talk to me at lunch, or they were all talking and I just kind of sat there. The first thing to do is to stay with the feeling just a little longer. Before moving on too quickly, stay with the feeling. You can say, that sounds really uncomfortable, or I can see why that would feel hard. Because this is what helps her feel, okay, she gets it. The second step then is to gently get more specific. Then you can help her slow it down a little, not to analyze it, but to understand it. You might ask, what was that like for you? Or what part of that felt the hardest? Because often what she's feeling is tied to one specific moment. And then you can help her see the whole picture. Once she feels understood, this is where you can gently widen the lens. not to correct her, but to give her more perspective. You might say, sounds like that moment felt really isolating or really lonely or really hard. Then pause and say, do you think that's how it feels all the time? Or was it more like that just today? Or was there anyone you felt even a little comfortable with? This helps her move from no one likes me to that moment didn't feel good. And sometimes we as parents feel like that we need to solve everything at this point. But instead of jumping into solutions, you could stay alongside her. This is where we give support without taking over. You might say, do you want help thinking through that? Or do you just want me to listen right now? This keeps her in the process instead of feeling like it's being taken over. And I think as parents, sometimes we're afraid to say that because we do have good advice and we do want to give it. But if they're not open to it, they're just going to tune it out. And as they get older, they start to see that as a lecture and that we're not really listening to them. So even when it feels hard, let her process. And if she says she just wants you to listen, just know that that doesn't mean you're never going to be able to give her advice about it. But in order for her to stay open to your advice, you have to give her that space. And believe me, that is one of the hardest things to do as a parent. And all of this is what helps her build confidence over time. Not because the situation changes immediately, but because she starts to understand what she's experiencing instead of letting it define her. You're not correcting her, you're helping her process. And the fourth thing I want to teach you is that confidence isn't built by convincing her. It's built by helping her see more clearly. This is where parents often go into reassurance mode. You're amazing. Everyone likes you. You're such a good friend. And those aren't wrong to do. But if they don't match how she feels, they don't stick. Because confidence isn't built by hearing something once. It's built by understanding something over time. So instead of trying to convince her, we help her see it more clearly. You can say, I can think of a few people who really enjoy being around you. Pause, then say, but I get that it didn't feel like that today. Or even one hard moment doesn't get to decide what's true about you. Like that one moment doesn't get to decide. That gives her both validation and perspective. And when your daughter says something like this, it can hit you too. Like I said earlier, it's like a dagger to the heart. Like it just crushes us when our girls say things like this. You might think, I don't want her to feel like this about herself. Or what if this becomes how she sees herself? And that fear can make you want to fix it quickly. But confidence isn't built in one conversation. It's built over time through moments like this, handled with care. And a helpful question to hold on to is, am I trying to convince her or help her understand what she's feeling? And before we wrap up, I want to share something with you. We're currently working to sponsor Girls for Girls Positivity Club summer camps this year. For some girls, this is the place where they build the exact kind of confidence we're talking about in this episode, feeling like they belong, feeling seen, and starting to believe in themselves. If that's something you've ever felt called to be part of, you can find more information at girlspositivityclub.org or in the show notes. And whether you're able to do that or not, I'm really glad you're here. So when your daughter says, no one likes me, she's not defining herself. She's expressing a moment. And your response in that moment helps her decide what it means. And over time, that's what shapes her confidence. And remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. And if this has been something you've been hearing from your daughter, I also did an episode called You Don't Have to Talk Her Out of How She Feels. That one will help you know what to say in moments just like this. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining another empowering episode of the Raising Confident Girls podcast. Share today's insights with caregivers and friends, building beautiful relationships with strong girls. Hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. We're not just a podcast, we're a community. Follow Girls Positivity Club on social media for more empowering content on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. This podcast empowers you, supporting incredible girls. Let's create strong, beautiful relationships with the girls in our lives. I appreciate you listening today. Stay confident, stay connected. Until next time, keep raising those confident girls. You've got this.